What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. And today's video is super exciting because we finally went out to Mexico and I ran into a couple of That is right, guys. We went back out to Mexico and had an awesome time and finally got to run a bunch of Mustangs, a few other different cars. And as you guys can see, we've got the street wheels off and the wheels over there. I've got a pretty big mess here because we've been getting a bunch of packages mainly for this 2020 Honda Grom, guys, which, as a reminder, link in the description below, jorgespeedshop.com. Every $20 spent is one automatic entry into the giveaway, which will run through October 31st. So make sure to go grab your shirt, grab your cap. Every $20 is one entry, and somebody at the end of October 31st will be able to have an awesome Grom, which I've got the fender delete kit for, to remove this rear fender, which will probably maybe do it in this video. But mainly we just want to talk about the Camaro and how it did versus a bunch of boosted high horsepower cars in Mexico. So let's get right to it, guys, and start talking about the runs. Now, the first two cars that we ran, guys, were two CTSVs, a black one and a red one, which we've ran before on the channel. And the black one was a new one, but it was a cam upper lower pulley on E85, and ran him twice. And let's just say he had 3 passengers, I believe, so I'm sure weight definitely was not on his side. But man, the Camaro was able to get him pretty easily, just NA. I didn't use nitrous, and you guys will be able to see that for yourselves. Second run, we did run the ruby red, or the red CTSV, which is a good buddy of mine's, his wife's car, and we ran them before the last video on nitrous, and this time we decided to try to do it just NA and see what the difference were. And that car is definitely a really good run for the Camaro NA. Definitely think that it has me slightly at the top end. Boost is kicking in and everything is going, but they're pretty even, so I'm pretty happy about that. Their car was also a cam and I believe pulleyed on E85, so runs really good. And the Camaro is keeping up NA, so that is really awesome. But check them out. So NA, those were the only 2 runs I got. Everything else I decided to go and run with some big people. There was a few cars out there that I tried lining up next to, but I guess they weren't wanting it. A couple HELLCATs and some other Mustangs that I guess did not want to run with this car. I don't know if maybe I wasn't sure what their mods are. Maybe they've seen the car run before and are probably not a good even race. But we then did run one HELLCAT Challenger, which I'm gonna assume was stock because I decided to use nitrous on him. Obviously HELLCAT boosted, you know, 707 whatever. Even with any few mods, those things are very fast. So I used nitrous on him, and this was the outcome. we actually ran a WHIPPLE 5.0 Mustang. Now, I believe I want to say that it is an automatic, a 10-speed auto, but I could be wrong. It could be a manual. But we did run a WHIPPLE 5.0 Mustang with the new Gen 5 WHIPPLE. And first run, I think he was trying to turn his traction control off. He wasn't ready, so we lined it up again. And then the second run, you guys saw, of course I used the nitrous, and I was able to pull pretty easily on that one. Believe he mentioned, talked to the guy, and I believe he mentioned that he trapped about 134 or so at the track. He was still limited on the oil pump gears, so he was at shifting like 7,000 RPM or something like that. So sure, that car has a lot more in it for sure. I've seen WHIPPLE 5.0s be running really good, very similar, even higher mile per hour at the track. So I'm sure that car, once they do some more mods to it, will be very fast. Now, before we get on to more of the Mexico racing, and specifically the boosted Mustangs racing videos, let's go ahead and talk about the nitrous and what happened and what could be an issue. Basically, my nitrous system did not want to work at the very end of the track meet. I wasn't sure at what point it stopped working, but there's probably a small little issue, could be fuse related or anything like that. So we'll dive right into that, hopefully get that figured out, and then I'll show you guys a little bit more about those boosted Mustangs. And also, we're gonna go ahead and replace this little extension fender thing that looks really ugly on this Grom. And I've bought 2 different pieces, and so I'm gonna show you guys why I bought the 2 different ones and which one you wanna get to hopefully look a lot better on the Grom. But let's get to the car. So if we get in here, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the accessory mode on, and normally what you'll see is this should turn on. So if we go into accessory mode, this should have already started to turn on, and our arming switch here has no power, so we're not getting any power, so I can't even arm the 2-step, and our purge isn't working. So we need to try to diagnose. Now, I do have the Gen 5 DIY harness, which plugs into the heater control module. So we're gonna try to find the heater control module fuse and see if maybe something's wrong with the fuse box out there. That's the only thing I could think of could be an issue, but hopefully we can get that figured out. Okay, guys, so as you guys can see, I've got a mirror tap on one of my fuses here, and that fuse is fuse number 42, which is a 10 amp HVAC ISRVM OSRVM, and it's a 10 amp fuse. And I've got a mirror tap, and this actually powers my wideband gauge, so I've got a 5 amp mirror tap. But it looks like with the radar detector on and the nitrous armed at the same time, it is pulling a little more than the 10 amps that's needed. So we went ahead and replaced it with a 15 amp micro. Now, by the way, guys, these fuses on the 6th gen Camaros are actually micro fuses. So if you need to go buy some extra ones, they're micro fuses. So we put the 15 amp back on. Let's go back, put the car in accessory mode, and see if we get power on our radar and on our nitrous system. Let's go ahead and put this car in accessory mode, get our radar power, and that'll give us a good indication that we should have power. There we go. So now, when I hit the arm switch, we should be sending power to our nitrous controller. So we see this, and we'll also audibly hear the pump in the back running. So there we go. You guys can hear the pump running back there, and I can see that we are ready to go. And if we do the purge, you guys will be able to hear the purge. There you go. So it's as simple as that, guys. Very simple, quick thing, but it is good to be able to troubleshoot, guys. So if you've got a 2019 with the radar detector mirror tap from Gen 5 DIY that plugs into the heater control module, check out fuse number 42. More than likely you blew that fuse. Okay, so Camaro's fixed, it's ready to go. All we gotta do is probably just put the seats back, put the rear muffler back on so that we can enjoy the car, not trying to go out and chase crazy records with reducing any weight. I think I'm just gonna put everything back in there and go from there. If it's a little slower, whatever, I'm not worried about it. But let's talk about the boosted Mustangs and what we did and how we did against those. Then we ran a car that I ran one of the very first times out in Mexico, guys, and it was an 800 plus horsepower PAXTON supercharged 6-speed manual Mustang, and that thing moves, guys, and makes the most amazing sounds ever. You guys will see it in the clip, but man, that car, the guy has that thing sounding amazing. But we ran about 3 times, and the first time I was able to, the nitrous just hit, and it was a shorter run. So by the time we had to get on the brakes or anything, he was about to start kind of pulling on me. Second run, same thing, the car with the nitrous just jumps, and then I can stay till about 110, 120, and then you'll see the PAXTON Mustang just start pulling. I mean, when you're making over 800 horsepower, guys, this thing was what, 670 on the nitrous. So yeah, big difference in horsepower, but it's still very impressed with how this Camaro did in those runs. After we ran that 5.0 PAXTON supercharged 800 plus Mustang, we then also ran a 850 horsepower 2013 GT500, pretty much maxed effort, full bolt-ons, cams, I would imagine maybe heads as well, but it was making 850 to the wheels. And the guy is actually from Austin. He's got a YouTube channel as well, so you can go check it out, called That Car Guy, and ran him. And man, that run was pretty good. Once he hooked, I mean, he was gonna start pulling. It's very similar to the way the PAXTON Mustang would pull on the Camaro. So as long as I would get a jump, and then once they get up to that high RPM, those Mustangs are making all the power up there. So Did really well. Obviously, in the top end, they would still pull ahead, but I would expect it considering they're over 800 horsepower. And then finally, we ran a 6th gen ZL1 1LE, and I'm not sure what that car had done, but it was not very fun for the ZL1. We were able to beat him pretty easily, so we'll show you that right now. Now, let's get to this rear fender eliminator kit stuff, because this thing is super ugly. I don't know why they put this on the bikes, but we did buy a fender eliminator kit, which basically remove all this and put everything up here in this spot and have the plate right here in the back, making it look nice and more streamlined, a little bit more sportier. So check it out, guys. I removed the stock one, and this is gonna look so much cleaner. Obviously, we don't have anything there yet, but you know, we did have to basically remove the whole stock frame piece, and I'm going through and removing a few things. It's fairly straightforward, just unclipping and disconnecting a few things to run and pull everything out of where it needs to go. And it shouldn't take too long before we can put it back and show you guys the new install. And I mentioned again why I ended up going with the Ran Soto with these angled pieces, and that is because when you put this cover back in there, you need to have some kind of little angles there to cover the side plate there and right around the license plate. So it should be fairly clean install and a lot cheaper than some of the other installs. I mean, this is basically $35 or so, and some of the other ones can go up to 100, 150 for pretty much the exact same hardware. And after a lot of modifying and finagling, we finally got it in, guys. Check it out. You got the nice little lip here, you got a nice little covering here. Everything works perfectly, and it is such a big difference compared to this monstrosity that was there before. So this used to be kind of covering the tire in the back. Now it's nice and clear. Definitely one of the very first mods you need to do to your Honda Grom if you're getting one. Everything bolts up perfectly fine and everything works. So if you are going to try to save some money and go with the cheaper version, then I recommend you have some drill bits to open up some openings and stuff like that, because everything is not exactly to spec. I had to re-drill or open up the turn signals just a little bit, but for $35, cannot complain. Very good option to go with the Ran Soto fender eliminator. Anyways, guys, there you have it. Remember, every $20 spent, link in the description below, Jorge's Speed Shop, you can get a t-shirt or a cap, and every $20 spent is one entry into the giveaway. And you guys have until October 31st to get your entries in. I cannot wait to hopefully give this to somebody and see what you guys think about the final result with this Grom. Slowly, little by little, we're going to be doing more modifications. I do have in the table over there the cold air intake stuff and a few more performance stuff, which we will be getting to later on. But for now, guys, the Camaro is good to go. The Grom is getting better as you see it, and we've got a lot of stuff coming. So make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.